Hey riders, the next skill that we're going to do is cornering, and we're going to utilize those side-to-side bike and body separation skills that we were just doing a moment ago. Cornering is one of our most frequently used skills on a mountain bike. We're always changing directions as we are going through the woods and having a ton of fun on bikes. We want to use cornering when we're going at moderate or high speed, or wanting to continue going the speed that we're going and maintaining our momentum. To do that, we're going to be in a low ready position, we're going to look in the direction that we want to go, and we're going to lean the bike in that direction. Both looking where you want to go and leaning the bike are extremely important to cornering. And to help us realize this, watch what happens to the handlebars as I lean the bike. The handlebars begin to turn on their own. So we don't steer a bike when we want to go quicker or more quickly down the trail. We lean the bike and let the bike do what it's designed to do. I'm going to show you what that looks like. Coming down the path behind me, I'm going to ignore the cones and just lean the bike left and right gently and let it change directions. And we're going to start to gain an understanding of how important that is. Hey coaches, let's dive into the why related to intro to cornering. Notice how I'm saying intro to cornering. Cornering is going to be involved in all three levels of our curriculum. We're starting with intro to cornering, which is low, look, and lean. And then as we get into intermediate cornering, we'll introduce more teaching points there. And then we'll introduce even more when we get to advanced skills as we do advanced cornering. Additionally, I'd really like to point out the differences between cornering and turning. When we are cornering, we're thinking about maintaining momentum, typically going at moderate or higher speed. In that case, we're going to lean the bike in the direction we want to go. There are other instances of changing directions that are slower and tighter turns. And in that case, we're going to be looking where we want to go and steering the handlebars. Those are typically slower speed, tighter turns. So help riders to distinguish when they should be leaning the bike versus when they should be steering. A phrase that we commonly use, or we've commonly heard previously, is slow is smooth and smooth is fast. We often see riders wanting to get to a result, and that result is often going faster. But if they haven't mastered the techniques and the skills, they're going to be doing it sloppily. So we want to think about first reducing the speed, focusing really well on the techniques that we're going to be using. And as they practice that, improve that, and gain confidence, they're going to be riding faster without even thinking about it. So as we're first starting with our riders practicing, let's not think about using cones and just having them ride down a slightly gentle grade, maybe in grass or a dirt lot like what you see behind me. And we're just going to focus on low, look, and lean, and letting that bike change directions and alternating right and left, and let them start to develop some muscle memory and a comprehension of what's happening as they lean the bike. As riders are showing proficiency in leaning the bike and gently changing directions, we can start to introduce our next progression. Let's set up a straight line of cones to create a slalom course, similar to what skiers would navigate as they're going down a ski slope in a slalom. We're going to go right and left around the cones. This is creating an element of timing and coordination. Your cones should be roughly 6 to 8 strides apart. As we continue, we can take those cones and offset each of them from that imaginary center line that we started with. 6 inches on either side is going to be a good next progression as we're working with riders in the slalom course. Our last progression involving the slalom course is moving those cones much further away. But know that you're going to actually have to change the distance between the cones as we're offsetting them left and right. We're making more like linked turns. Our last progression related to intro to cornering would be to use an oval where riders are going to turn at either end of the oval. This is different than the slalom course, in which they're going to now hold that position longer as they're going around like a turn that's 180 degrees. Be sure to change directions at some point, as you may start with the riders making left-hand turns, and then you switch directions and everyone is then going to do right-hand turns. Coaches, let's now go over some common errors that we'll see from time to time related to intro to cornering. First, as riders are going through the cones, you may note that they're a little bit too tall and not able to lean the bike enough. We want to point out to riders that they should be in a low ready position, which is going to allow their arms to reach further left and right and lean the bike further. Another error that we commonly see related to intro to cornering is that the riders are moving their body left and right instead of leaning the handlebars left and right. Leaning your body into a turn is something we would do in tight turns, but when we want to maintain a higher speed, we want to be in that low ready position and leaning the bike in the direction that we want to go instead. The last of our common errors that we see is that riders are steering the handlebars instead of leaning the bike. This may be a situation where they're going too slow and looking at the cones. They're going around the cones and steering instead of looking further ahead and leaning the bike appropriately. Here are a couple of additional ideas for coaches when working with your riders on cornering. Consider setting up multiple slalom courses at different difficulty levels next to one another on a gentle slope. The straight set of cones would be where the riders would start, and as they show proficiency, you can allow them to move on to the second slalom course, which is slightly more difficult. This is a great way to keep riders moving and progressing their skills, while coaches could really begin to dissect what they may be struggling with and help to give them the best feedback. An alternate idea is to set up slalom courses next to one another and have riders go head to head. This is a little bit more competitive in nature, but it gives the opportunity for the riders to really start thinking about how they're cornering. You can also include elements of gear selection in this drill as well, where they could use different gears to see which one is allowing them to accelerate most and get through the slalom course most quickly.